Call of Duty Warzone. We're jumping into the new map, Caldera here. We're here on Xbox Series X, and it's almost a bit of a refresh, you would say, for the universe of Warzone. We've left Verdansk behind, and we're now jumping into this fresh, well, you know, Vanguard-inspired environment. I think it's been long overdue in terms of refreshing the experience. You know, is it like a big change-up? Is it a wild change-up? You know, that really comes down to personal opinion in regards to the different environmentals, but we're mostly here because I wanted to do another, you know, kind of tech look at Vanguard and, well, in general, Warzone. So, you know, Warzone is something that has been largely the same since its inception with Modern Warfare 2019. You know, Cold War, they introduced some visual changes. They just, like, changed Verdansk slightly, right? But this time we've actually gotten a bit of a real adjustment to the visual aesthetic here. I think you're also seeing that if you go and play, like, you know, Rebirth Island and stuff like that. I think it is actually aesthetically quite a different setup, and I find that to be quite neat. You want to go there? I'd rather go there, but I guess we can go over there. Sure, why not? So again, you know, you're dropping in, and you're trying to be the last group left. We got quads going on right now. You know, you've got this huge player size. This, like, you can see in the top right corner, it's like 40-something teams, like 140 players, you know, plus 140 players plus, obviously. And you're just kind of facing off. There's cross-play on the Series X. We're getting, like, the 4K, the dynamic. There's 120 FPS support if you have that going. You know, obviously, when I'm playing, you know, getting the 120 FPS, you know, it feels smoother, it feels better. Just keep in mind, YouTube can't support it, can't record it, so it's like, you know, it's something where you gotta kind of describe it, and that's the best we can do with the tech at the current point in time. There's HDR support too. So I do actually appreciate that we have gotten, you know, a visual adjustment here. It's a bit weird running around with the just the Vanguard weapons, considering there is like a mixed thing, but this is like the pre, you know, sort of real launch thing. This is like the Vanguard day one early access or something like that. So we get like, it's just silly. I don't even get the point in having the 1 day earlier access. But anyways, that's what it is. So we've got all these Vanguard weapons, which do shoot and like act a little bit differently in comparison to the Vanguard multiplayer experience. So keep that in mind if you are kind of being like, oh, well, I'll just use the meta STG and stuff. It's different. It is different. So I think that's something that you should keep in mind. Same with like operators and stuff, and you know, there's some getting used to in this one. But I think, you know, visually it actually looks like kind of nice, but at the same time not super stylized. Like, I like the tree density, but there is, you know, a fair bit of pop-in as you're going through the world, and it's a cross-gen title, right? Like, it makes sense that this is how it is, but it's the Warzone action you kind of, I assume, like, and it's just a very different map that you have to get used to. So it's really hard to form an opinion, even from playing like a dozen or so matches on this, of what the overall experience is going to be like, because it's going to change fast. We're going to have more players very soon, because, you know, obviously, again, being like the pre-day one. And it's just going to really be interesting to see how the, you know, the kind of the meta forms of how people play, where the best spots are. You know, it's a whole new world. It really is. Like, if you've been away from Warzone for a while and you're like, oh, I'm just sick of Verdansk, you know, I wanted something different. Like, I haven't played this in probably like over half a year or something, like 8 months, like the Warzone. Like, I keep playing the online multiplayer, but Warzone I'm just kind of like, I don't know. So I haven't really touched much of it, and it kind of excites me a little bit to have a different play space, and that's either going to work for you or it isn't. Like, obviously, like really repetitive textured water, but it's like you don't go there, you don't do that. I have noticed numerous like visual bugs in regards to, like, one of my STGs had like this sort of phantom growth over it, and that was kind of funny. So, you know, there's definitely bugs they have to work on, and it's just like it's a very different level too, because I don't really feel that there's any, you know, I don't think Verdansk was great for this, but there's no like grass really cover, right? It does seem to give you lots of like little pebbles and stuff to use, and there's lots of like little camping spots inside different buildings. And that might sound weird because, you know, we've been in largely very open areas that we've been visiting. Like, we're going up, like, I think the volcano peak or whatever. But there's, like, these little huts that you can go into. Like, these spaces where there's tons of different rooms and corners. And, you know, it definitely gives you a lot of, I think, freedom in regards to, like, well, basically, if you're camping and stuff like that. I think it might benefit you greatly in that regard. Is there more bad guys that way? Oh, and the weapons are, like, basically the same, but, I don't know how to describe it. Or, not the weapons, sorry. The airdrops, like, the support stuff. Like, that is basically the same, but they've just kind of renamed it. It's almost comical. Like, this is basically the same thing, but they've just visually kind of adjusted it slightly, and I think that is, again, quite hilarious how minimal of a change that is, but it makes sense. Like, they're just building off of that core formula. They're just, like, improving things, adjusting stuff. But I do like the texturing. Like, I actually do think that there is a bit of an improvement in, like, visual texturing that we're seeing in the world. I actually do feel that it looks better, you know, just in general, like, looking around, like, the rocks and everything like that. And if you're on the Series X, of course, too. So just keep that in mind. But it's definitely a very different experience. Like, I like it. I don't know if I love it at this point, but I'm intrigued by coming on here, and I'm like, wow, I don't know what I'm doing because it's so different. And that can be exciting. It could be a little scary, I suppose, as well. I can see a lot of people being like, what is that? That's what I was talking about. It's like this like, used stuff almost. But, like, it was the STG, and when I held it in my hand, that's what was happening, is it had all this stuff all over it, and you couldn't see, and it was just very funny. You know, just from, like, a humorous perspective, that one. So you get a range of different weapons. Like, you gotta get used to really adjusting, again, your classes. Like, there's gonna be all these different tiers of, like, you know, these new weapons directly impacting what you're doing, and I think that is intriguing to me, because it's like, okay, so how do I do this? How do I do that? Is this gun going to be better than this gun? Wow, I can't believe that guy actually killed me there. Thanks for the revive, yo. And again, completely different play spaces. You get everything from, like, resort areas to more like a thick forest. It really feels like, if you've played PUBG, I think it's like Sanghok or something like that. It feels exactly like that. So, I mean, like, the visual aesthetic. And like, it does look lovely at times. Other times I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know if I love the visuals. And it's a very intriguing situation. Because, again, I'm coming here from the perspective, like, hey, we're mostly looking at this from, like, the tech angle. But at the same time, I'm kind of, like, so wondering overall feelings about this one, because I think it's going to take more time to be like, hey, this is great, or hey, you know, this isn't the replacement that is best for this. I initially thought it was going to be a situation where it's like, hey, you know, you get to enjoy Verdansk, or you can go play on this new play space. But we've been completely pushed over here. Like, Rebirth Island, again, persists, and they rotate things, you know, in and out, but I think this is like a legitimate just swap out for swap out for Verdansk. I think that's kind of interesting. Like, I wonder if they're gonna, like, randomly bring it back at some point. Like, you know, obviously the file sizes and stuff for this one are, like, quite bloated and that, so that might be something that holds them back from doing that sort of offering. Wow, again. There's another bad guy down there, guys. But all the other systems, basically the same, you know. Using the different types of ammo, reviving, using different, like, chest plates and all that. It's basically the same, they've just added that, you know, Vanguard sort of magical touch to it. And a new Gulag, which is intriguing, a lot more direct for combat. It's actually kind of lovely in terms of being, like, in this mine area. I quite like that. So, you know, you're either gonna find that intriguing or be like, meh, but, you know, they do new stuff all the time for it. in terms of being like, hey, there's a new Gulag. Like, I know there's been so many different Gulag options, right? Like, constantly getting different Gulags. Oh, wow, this guy had some fancy stuff. Nice of him to die so I can take this. And I think a lot of this is going to be the excitement of players going in and being like, okay, what's new, what's changed? Like, I think this actually looks kind of majestic from, like, a viewing distance, and you get very, like, it's very varied. I know that's a weird thing to say, but you look at Verdansk, and it was a very similar visual aesthetic, you know? Like, it didn't really change much as you went through it. You know, it had the same coloring. There were landmarks, and I mean, this one definitely does have, like, the same coloring style. It has that going on, but, you know, there's, here, it's we're in a very big peak, and off in the distance, there's, like, more, like, the fields are more, like, a bit lowlands, and then there's, like, a beach area, and, you know, that's more, like, city-like, but there's a lot of different, like, verticality points, a lot more elevation on this map, a lot more density to it. I just think it's got a lot going on in regards to, like, its style and its setup. And I do actually appreciate having that different, again, play space to kind of enjoy. It's the same icon with the drop or whatever. I find that hilarious. I think I'm actually just going to give these weapons a try. You know, something a little bit different. I do like that. Ooh, and the fire sale. Do. See, not the best option when your teammate goes rogue all the way over there, eh?
Teammate has entered the Gulag.
Let's see if they come out of the Gulag. Are we going to race down there or what? I think we should.
Teammate has been cleared for redeployment.
Oh, I guess we don't need to go down there, but guess we're gonna kind of wait this out here. But I guess if you don't know about Warzone and you've stuck around to this point, kind of being confused, you drop down in teams, fight to survive. Giant gas thing kind of pushes you in more. And, yeah, they do different variations. Sometimes it's like, hey, do you want to do smaller groups? You want to do bigger groups? You know, stuff like that. The solo setup. Sometimes they got, like, fun hopper weekends. And then eventually you're in a small area and you just kind of blow each other up. I guess some other adjustments. There's, like, an anti-air vehicle and aerial vehicle option in this one. It, like, changes the vehicular setups a little bit. So that's kind of intriguing. Just something a little bit different that you can use. Are we going forward now? We're doing the hug the back wall kind of thing. Seeing how we're now being pushed inwards. And people can usually take advantage of that. They'll shoot you from up above, which isn't the best, but you know. Got your parachutes that you can pop out at any moment. Why is this, interesting. And you've got your squad, and it's just like I'm quite I'm fascinated by it. I'm impressed and intrigued, but at the same time, very cautious to be like, whoa, what a change. But I think it does aesthetically really adjust things. You know, it's completely different play space wise. Like we've gone from like a rocky up top there to different like winding kind of hills with lots of like little flora bits you can hide in. I don't know, I just think it's a much neater play space from like an aesthetic standpoint and just like again a gameplay standpoint, because you're gonna have to get used to things not just being like flat. Now Verdansk did have, you know, some hills here or there, but you know it was largely a flat space, right? Like that was what Verdansk was about, was like, hey, you're moving through this area, it's got a very set aesthetic to it. And it's just much, much better to have it like this, and, you know, it's still, like, it's got that fun angle to it, right? You know, I think Warzone does have its moments where you're doing that intensity, you're doing that action where you're like, hey, can we make it, can we do it? Well, that's not good. I know what's really cool is it's very unlikely that we have hackers here because it's only for Vanguard players. for this like one day, right? Like yeah. So that's kind of a fun little thing on that one. Because if you've played Warzone, you probably know what I'm talking about with cheaters and whatnot. But it's kind of amazing that we have the crossplay, right? That we have that available to us to be able to play with others across the different platforms with the Activision account. which is always intriguing that that is a choice. And, you know, obviously we'll be doing a lot more, well, I don't know specifically Warzone, but we'll probably be checking it out a little bit more since it's all freshly redesigned for streams and stuff. You know, you can always check those out when they happen, which is kind of fun. But I also really like the water. Now, this water, a little less impressive, but when you go to, like lake areas where you get more of this, like, blue water, it actually looks pretty nice. And I think that's kind of intriguing, just getting this, like, much more, like, different climate, too. It's not just, hey, you know, it's like a green space, it's something different, it's rocky, but it's actually, like, you know, the biome is a lot more luscious, and, you know, it's just not this, like, grayish color palette.
You managed to defend your teammate.
You know, it's, I did think Verdansk, you know, looked a little ugly at times, right? Like, aesthetically, it was like, I don't know, but yeah, I think they did a really good job cleaning it up and doing some exciting things with it. So, you know, I like what they got going on here. I think it is improved. Like, again, like texturing, like even the, like, I think this is what, are these supposed to be like tomatoes? Yeah, they look like tomatoes. I think even the plants and stuff aesthetically way better. I don't like that when you kind of attack fruits and vegetables, it doesn't do anything. Like, there's no, like, physics like that. But I do think they have improved a lot of this experience in many ways from a visual perspective, and I think that's kind of exciting. I'm very, very curious to see, you know, where this heads next in terms of, like, future updates too. Are we going to see even more crazy updates like this in the future? Or are they gonna cut it off at some point for other consoles? Like, I imagine there will be a threshold where, like, probably last gen gets left behind, right? I bet that guy's gonna get himself up again. Because I don't know if I got any finished kills on those folks. Not getting up that time, am I right? Except my vest. Or not my vest. My mask is gonna break. Oh no. Now I gotta breathe in the bad air. Ugh. Ooh. And yes, I've done my super sprint, so I gotta wait a sec. Oh, that's not good. I'm so screwed here. This is the end, guys. You can, like, hide in the bush, but I don't think you get hidden very well.
Enemy nearby.
Painting targets, airstrikes a go. I'll patch you up, good as new.
I got you. I don't know why they didn't finish him off. Oh, the air thing is moving already? That's not good. Oh no.
I'll patch you up, good as new.
I'm gonna die from doing this, aren't I? It was a very bad idea. I shouldn't have helped out a teammate. Oh, he just died again? He didn't even... Ah. That was very dumb of me. I shouldn't have done that. But I'm like, oh, I'll be a team player. I'll give him a hand. Purpley guy, you don't want to come and get me? No, it's just like, you know, let me die. Whatever, it's... Doesn't matter. Oh, and we're too late for the Gulag 2, it looks like. So that's an extra sort of suck scenario in there. Because there is the Gulag, right? But when you get to, like, a certain perimeter, it's like, oop, too bad. Oh, that's one of the vehicles there, the Jeep. So they changed, like, things here or there, but very much similar experience, where they almost, like, quick patched a new place through an old assets. Like, even the buildings, a lot of them feel similar, a lot of them feel familiar. So I'm assuming you're going to expect that as well in this one, to just be like, hey, it's a place you know, a lot of the stuff you feel like you know, but slightly adjusted. Kind of wondering if I'm going to get a revive here or not. I'm surprised the other guy didn't, like, wait around. Because these guys have more than enough money to bring us back. If he would have waited. But he did kind of get me killed, too. I mean, I chose to help him, but... You know. Team play, what can I say? Yeah, I think he's going to get me here. Because I wanted to show off some of the housing. Like, they do block off rooms still, obviously, to keep the performance going, but I think there's a lot of spaces you can actually, like, really kind of creep up on, hide on. It's kind of nice.
Most wanted target eliminated. Contract failed. There are 24 enemies active. Kill them all.
Should I go for the loadout? I feel like it's suicidal almost. I don't have any arms or something. Oh, there we go. I hope we get to a point, and I'm assuming this is when, like, cross-gen is left behind, that they kind of allow us to have, like, better grass flora on the ground, so you can, like, crouch around a bit more, because, you know, obviously you don't get a whole lot of ground cover. I'm trying to move towards my teammate to help them out here. I mean, it'd be smarter just to stay in the middle, but it's like, hey, you know, we might as well group together and die together.
I'm tracking him. Contract with target.
It's actually like a buy station.
Ended there.
Well, that's not good. We're gonna die anytime soon here, so, you know, we're just extending this because basically, yeah, we might as well see how everything pans out, right?
Toss and stun. Molotov out.
They're not even over there? That's hilarious. Ah, damn it. That would have been such a clutch save for our teammate. But not bad, and I hope this kind of showed it off decently well.